Hi, let's talk about Act 1, Scene 1 of A Midsummer Night's Dream. Here's Aegeus' speech. Aegeus, father of Hermia, has come to complain. Hermia, his daughter, wants to marry someone other than the person that is selected for her, a guy named Demetrius. Aegeus is angry, and he demands that Hermia do what he wants and marry the man he wants her to marry. Otherwise, he says, he may dispose of her either to this gentleman, Demetrius, or to her death. It's a very, very, very serious situation for this comedy. Of course, since it's Act 1, Scene 1, we know that because it's a comedy, these bad things are all going to turn out all right by the end. So the speech is fairly simple, believe it or not. Aegeus says he's angry, he gives a list of reasons why he's angry, and then he concludes. In this speech, we have a couple different devices going on. There are three terms that I'm going to talk about here. One is iambic pentameter, the rhythm of the piece. Second is asyndeton, and the third is caesura. So let's look at this piece for iambic pentameter. That means that there are 5 beats to every line. In this case, full of vexation come I with complaint. There are 5 beats going on there, and they get stronger as we go on. Against my child, my daughter, Hermia. So each of these has 5 beats. One of the tricky things, though, is that in addition to having the 5 regular beats, we also occasionally disrupt it, or the author does. Shakespeare disrupts a meter and enters a couple of pauses, and those are called caesura. So this word caesura means that in the middle, the line is cut. In this case, that cutting happens. Stand forth, Demetrius, my noble lord. Well, stand forth, Demetrius is to one person. My noble lord, of course, is directed to a different person, the Duke, Theseus. So we've got 2 different ideas being conveyed in a broken line. A couple lines later, we have a similar break. Stand forth, Lysander, and my gracious Duke. Notice we have the same kind of break happening here. He talks to one character, then he talks to another. Stand forth, Lysander, and my gracious Duke. This man hath bewitched the bosom of my child. Notice this line doesn't have such a break in it. We have a very, very long list of things that Aegeus is upset about, but this line here shows us one thing that is a little bit distinctive about this speech. He complains to Lysander using the informal thou. The informal thou was used back in the 15 and 1600s when you're talking to your friends or your children or somebody that you were otherwise close with. In this case, however, Aegeus is talking to somebody he dislikes, and by using the informal thou here, he's not only saying that he doesn't like him, he's also saying that he feels that this person is his inferior. Thou, Lysander, thou hast given her rhymes. So we've got another device happening here, repetition. But that use of the informal thou is quite important in this passage. The last thing that we have is asyndeton. An asyndeton is essentially a long list. In this case, Aegeus has a long list of grievances against Lysander. And so the complaint begins with that line where he starts with the informal thou, Lysander. But look at all the things he's done. He's interchanged love tokens. He's sung by her window. He's stolen the impression of her fantasy with lots and lots and lots of things here. Now the list loses its conjunctions. In other words, it begins and ends without having an and or a but or an or in between right here. And it goes all the way down to here. So when we look at that really long list, we're looking at the asyndeton, and what it does is it has the effect of exhausting the speaker. And stolen the impression of her fantasy with bracelets of thy hair, rings, gauds, conceits, knacks, trifles, nosegays, sweetmeats, messengers of strong prevailment in unhardened youth. With cunning thou hast filched my daughter's heart, turned her obedience, which is due to me, to stubborn harshness. I almost can't say it because I run out of breath. And that's the function of ascendanton. It makes Aegeus appear to be a father who cannot get the words out fast enough. And in this case, he has plenty to complain about. Thanks for listening.